Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to episode 2 of 100 hour check. Yep. So every 100 hours, we change the oil for the airplane. We'll change the oil and the filter. It uses 9 quarts of oil, so we have to change all of that. And basically, you drain it. You come back from a flight when the engine is hot. That's when you drain it, and basically you change the oil filter as well. So if you like these videos, I encourage you to give a thumbs up, leave a comment below. Please subscribe to the channel and feel free to share these videos with family and friends and those that you think can benefit from it. If you have not seen 100 hour check episode 1, please go over to my YouTube channel and you can type in those words, 100 hour check episode 1, and you will see the first video that I did. So usually what I do is I share the summary of the patients that I transported within that 100 hour. Like I give you the figures, like how many patients and relatives, etc., cargo, and then I share the top 7 stories of the missions, the 7 missions that stood out to me the most. There are many missions, but I always just like to select the top 7. So without further ado, the top 7 mission that stood out to me. Number 1 is an accident patient. I got a call basically I got a call one day that there is a patient who was basically a young man who was intoxicated with alcohol, riding in his community without a helmet, and he was pretty severe. But unfortunately, when the call came in, it was close to the end of the day, and when I look at the time it would take to go and help him, it was not enough. So I had to do it the next day. First thing the next day, I went out and I helped him. He was very unstable during the flight, somewhat disoriented because of the head injury. And some reason I think he had lost one of his eye, because you can see it's like some when he crashed, you can tell his face was dragged on the ground because you could see the skin peeled a portion and then stopped, and then the eye itself was yeah, because during the flight he got a little disoriented and he removed the bandage from the eye, and you could see just flesh, and I think that eye is completely gone. He had broken one of his leg as well. Very, very critical patient, but due to the night falling real quickly, I didn't have enough time to transport him right after the accident. So fortunately, the doctor in that area was able to stabilize him enough, and I transported him first thing in the morning. That's number one. It was just a blessing that, in spite of how critical and challenging it was, time critical, etc. The next day, fortunately, he did not pass during the night, but he survived the night, and I got him the first thing in the morning. And I haven't gotten any news that he succumbed to his injuries. So I would say that was a mission that was successful. And just a timely reminder, I know we're in a lockdown situation and life is tough for everyone. Please, drinking alcohol is not going to solve anyone's problem. It just makes one bad situation become more worst. Number 2, flight that stood out to me, mission number 2 that stood out to me was a little boy who broke his leg. So I had helped him to get out. I remember he was just lying on in the airplane, yeah, in a lot of pain and discomfort. The family, pretty fairly financially challenged family. I transported them, and I remember, yeah, it was just that joy on their faces, but they were going out, so they were somewhat not that you can tell when people are just really in deep thought about what they're experiencing. Then time elapsed. Obviously, this is episode two, and I was called upon to transport the young boy and his mom back home. So I gave him a real treat in that I put his mom in the back. They're really small, so I put the mom in the back. I had him beside me in the co-pilot seat, and I basically told him, put your hand on the controls and just have a feel of the airplane. So we were there, and I had him just feeling the airplane, and I made turns and just bank a little bit, 5 degrees off my course, and just for him to get a feel. And his mom was just watching what was happening, and basically, these like this little boy kind of remind me of me growing up poor, didn't have much dream, not knowing I'll ever be on an airplane. So I just wanted to do that for him. My memory goes all the way back to 1988, and I was born 1985. And this boy is way older than I was, based on how far my memory goes back. So if his memory is as good as mine, I'm sure when he gets to his 30s, he'll remember the missionary pilot that brought him back home after he recovered from his broken leg injury and gave him an opportunity to fly an airplane for a few seconds. And that was a really huge blessing for me to see them go out and then transport them back home after he recovered. Mission number three that stood out to me the most was Dr. Jade Manius. Dr. Jade Manius was basically she was the scripture reading person at my wedding. So she's a friend of my wife from college days, and they call themselves BFF, best friends forever. And we had an opportunity to reconnect. Like, she was with my wife on Instagram, just constantly keeping in touch as best friends. And then later on, she found out that I am a missionary pilot. So I didn't get married as a missionary pilot. I was just a medical missionary when I got married. And so she wanted to go to her post for work, but she got stuck as a result of the pandemic and travel restrictions. So she found out about the aviation ministry, and then she saw an Instagram post from my wife of me flying with her on one of the missions. And then she's like, well, I didn't know that Davin is one of the missionary pilots with the Adventist Aviation Services. And so we reconnected, we planned, and I was able to transport her back to a little island called Batanes where she was scheduled to go and work. So it was just a huge blessing that we actually met when we were preparing for the wedding. That's when we met. So very short time, and then we parted ways. 6, 7.5 years, 7 years later, for a seventh anniversary, close to our seventh anniversary, well, a little past the seventh anniversary. Here we are again, Dr. Jade and I reconnecting, and I'm her pilot transporting her on a medical flight to get her to her destination. So that was really a blessing for me to help her out. The fourth mission that stood out to me the most was basically I had gone up to Batanes. It's a very long flight. It's one where I do over the waters. From base to that location, round trip, it can take up to 4.5 hours. And usually when I go that far, there's no refueling option. So I will have 8 hours of fuel to do a 4 hour flight. So I just walk with extra just in case there's a request and I'm already out. I will be passing. I will be passing close to the other areas that we offer our services. So if for any reason on my way home I get a call, it's easy to just divert to that area without the need for stopping for fuel. So I had done a long flight. I was coming back home when I was about 10 minutes away from landing when I got a text message from one of the doctor in the coastal town telling me that there is a pregnant lady whose blood pressure is unstable and they are concerned about the baby. So I said, okay, ma'am, I'm going to be landing in about 10 minutes. And after I land, I have enough fuel and I will see you in about 35 minutes. And so I landed and I took off. I went to the coastal area, a little place called Palanan. And I picked up that pregnant lady along with her husband and I took them out. And it was just a huge blessing that it just dawned on me, walk with extra fuel just in case. And so when the call came, when the text came in, as a matter of fact, when the text came on my phone, I was ready. I anticipated it may happen. I was ready, and someone benefited. Not just one individual, but a mom and her baby got an opportunity to get out and to have their baby successfully. Mission number 5 was another critical patient that stood out to me. Basically, it was the person was not on my schedule, so I had other missions pending, and there was a pregnant lady involved. And while on my way to get that pregnant lady, a last minute patient was an older man, senior to be exact. He was having a possible appendicitis. Usually that thing, if it ripens and it's about to burst, you have to be very careful in that you need urgent attention. And so while doing that mission, he popped up on my schedule last minute, and I had the time and the fuel and the weather was good, and I was able to transport that gentleman out so that he could go and get the urgent medical care that he needed. There was another patient that we were able to help, but this one was a team mission. So number 6 was a team effort. We had some meetings scheduled to create a system to better have ourselves organized to help these individuals. So we were meeting in each area that we offer our services. We had a meeting with the mayors, governors, if they're available, nurses, doctors, people from the LGU, RHU, etc. And while we were doing that meeting and we finished, we got a text that there was some medicine. So I had done a mission, and they asked us to buy the medicine, and then when we have a flight, we will bring the medicine and drop it off. So we didn't have the time to take the medicine back, and the medicine is for a pregnant lady. She had taken the airplane about 3 or 4 times. So from the time she got pregnant, there was this multiple complicated periods where she needed to go out so that she can get an ultrasound to ascertain what's happening. And I remember her because of that. I was like, "Oh, you've been on this airplane for 2, 3 times now." So she had given the money to someone, they had bought the medicine, and when we had that meeting, we took the medicine. The only challenge is my director and I, we were going to those meetings, so he was flying. We had the craziest idea. It was so cool in that we packaged the medicine and we decided to fly low over that barangay hall itself. There was a long stretch of concrete that is going towards the ocean. And so we decided to do a low pass over that, and he's gonna fly low and slow, and I'm gonna be the one to drop the medicine because that way they get it sooner instead of going to the airport and they have to come down and then go back. We're like, why not just do an airdrop? That video is on my Facebook page if you ever want to see it. Basically, we dropped the medicine, and within 3 to 5 minutes after climbing out to head back to base, we got a text message that they picked up the medicine. We dropped it along this area where in the distance people saw the drop, and it was some construction worker somewhat close by that saw it, and you were like, is that a bomb or something that was dropped off here? So They were watching the airplane. They knew we are gonna drop it, so they were close to the area, ready to pick it up. And they said, "No, it's not a bomb. It's actually medicine for my wife." I ended up transporting her after we dropped the medicine because she was having this constant pain and sleepless night, so she really needed that medicine. And I was told it's a very expensive medicine, so we wrapped it real nice and put it in this foam thing that no matter how hard it fell, there would be no damage to the medicine itself. She got her medicine, and I later on transported her out where she went to give birth to her baby. And that's, mission number 6, the last mission. And I would say I saved the best for last. In episode 1, the last one that stood out to me was at a location where I dropped off the person in Batanes. Here in episode 2, it's also another patient that I transported to Batanes. Not lesson. Mission number 7 that stood out to me the most was a patient that I had transported. Patient needed to do a gallbladder surgery, and he's the breadwinner in the home. Family is financially challenged, and I remember when I dropped them off, I inquired. Usually, an ambulance would come or a public vehicle would come to take them from the airport to the hospital. And I noticed there was no vehicle that came on the ramp to pick them up. So I asked the wife, how are you gonna travel to get to the hospital? They said they're gonna go by public transportation. I said, do you know how to publicly commute to the hospital? They said no. And fortunately, I have been stranded at that airport before, and I had to commute around to find a place to sleep. So I knew the ropes, and I basically assisted them with their luggage, and I went out to the intersection. It was about 12 o'clock. It's a little place called Tugigarao, and ask anyone about the Philippines, they will tell you it's the hottest part of the Philippines. And at 12 o'clock, the heat was burning up. As a matter of fact, I forgot my phone on the elevator of the airplane, and it almost got fried. I think it was so hot. The warning came, critical warning temperature came on. I had to shut it down and let it cool off for a while. So basically, I helped them to get a ride, and I got photos later on of people who were just telling me thanks for going beyond the call of duty, etc. So I transported them and then helped them a little further to get public ride to go to the hospital. And I got a picture. The wife kept in touch with me through Facebook. She sent me a photo asking me to pray for her husband that he'll recover pretty soon. And then 1 week passed, another week passed, and I was wondering, they are not from that area. I know they're from Batanes, and I was just wondering, why aren't they calling us up to have us transport them home? And so I had my contact there who was keeping in touch with him. I said, have you heard anything from that family? And basically, he said, yes, they are having some financial challenges to get home. And so, in our operations, basically, individuals will help if they can towards at least the fuel, not the operating cost, but at least the fuel. We call it a fuel donation. It's a free will donation. If they have it, we help them. If they don't, we still help them, etc. And basically, they did not have anything to contribute. And I followed up, and then later on, someone helped them with some finances, and it wasn't enough to cover. So I took the story and I went soliciting help through my social media efforts, and praise the Lord, the donations came in, and I was able to top off my tank with fuel, and I transported that family home. And after transporting the family home, the story just went viral. A lot of people were commenting. Not only that, the Washington Post came to document my story, and I had the photographer and the writer tagging along with me on that mission. So if you have the chance to see the story that the Washington Post published, and you follow that mission up to Batanes, that family, they're very near and dear to my heart, in that it took a little bit beyond the regular efforts on our part to help them. But praise the Lord, they were helped and they're rejoicing now. I did get a little update last week that the husband is recovering. I have photos that they sent me of how he is recovering and doing a little work. Not much, but he's recovering enough to do a little work. And so those were the 7 missions that stood out to me. I did not transport a lot of people because now we have a second pilot. So now we are sharing the workload, basically. So during that second 100-hour flight time, I only transported 11 patients, 16 returning patients, 19 watchers, or those family members and relatives or friends who assist the patients when they are going out to be hospitalized. 19 of them. 25 family members were basically reunited, where when we have these medical flights, we have extra seat. We will take, they are called the locally stranded individual. The lockdown occurred, they're stranded, and they're trying to go back home. 25 of them were reunited with their family as a result of our small little airplane that continues to help to save lives and deliver hope. Our cargo was 810 pounds of cargo. That include supplies for our contacts, medicine, different things for the PNP offices, different parcels, etc. 810 pounds, or basically 36.8 kilograms. I thank you so much for your prayers and your support, because without your prayers, without your support, we could not have looked back at 100 hours flight time on the airplane and these top 7 stories that stood out to me. Had it not been for your prayers and your support, that accident case, the little boy, Dr. Jade, that pregnant lady with the unstable blood pressure that could have led to fatality on the part of herself and the baby. The appendicitis critical patient, older gentleman needing urgent care, the medicine that was dropped off for that pregnant lady so she can have a peaceful night's rest. And finally, had it not been for your prayers and support, that patient who did his gallbladder surgery and needed to go back home to reunite with his family, all these missions and more could not have been a possibility had it not been for your prayers and your support. So, on behalf of Philippines Adventist Medical Aviation Services and yours truly, Davin Bennett, flying by faith, thank you so much for your prayers and your support as we continue to do our best to help to save lives and deliver hope. God bless, and mabuhay from the Philippines. And I am excited to see you for episode 3 of 100 Hour Check. God bless and stay tuned.